another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week is no exception. Dying Light fixes the intense blur effect on Linux that's difficult to notice when the game struggles to hit 30 frames a second. Desura loves it when a developer explains how busted their update system is, and I'm just kidding. They will immediately delete your post, and Rigs of Rods rises from the ashes, and I still, after 4 years, cannot get the go to compile. J-Man.
Coming up next on GDC, we explore XKCD 927. Leadwerks gets a game player, and that's putting the cart a ways away before the horse. And Open Morrowind needs your help. Well, the engine behind it does anyways.
Valve discovers more ways to make money from other people's games. Retro Booster gets some competition, but not on the same level. And someone made a native arena helper for the Linuxes, even though you still need wine to play Hearthstone itself.
Penumbra Necrolog mod gets a Steam release, but we'll have the IndieDB download link for you later. Apotheon hits Linux open beta on Steam. Bug report. And Octodad dev team releases sales stats. Now let's see if there's a release timeline as well. No.
All right, I've been Stone here at LGC Actual, joined by one of our tamed Canadian podcasters.
Yes.
I know. Gun Space Portugal, represented by Pedro Mateus, and also, thanks to the Patreons, Sandman himself returns to really screw up my day for switching and editing the video. It's brilliant. So, before we get started, we like to play a little game to see what's going on in each other's life organs. I'll start, because I didn't beat up a hobo, but I came close. This one didn't tase me, bro.
So that's 1 for 2?
No, check this business out. The tasing's healing quite well. There's this one place near the house, and it's like right across the street from a tent city, where a bunch of people who live in tents. And, yeah, right.
I thought you meant the camping supply store for a second.
And I had the nice little fleece, just looked like a mark with the Jetta sitting there filling up with petrol and all that. And I saw the dude at the corner of my eye. He was a young man, probably like 20, 22. And he's walking over. I was like, keep going, fuck you, keep going. He was like, excuse me, sir. And apparently I turned too much vin up and let too much vin out. Because I turned around and I was like, I am seriously not in the mood for this today. And I just went back. I looked back and I was like, I'm waiting. Just for like 10 seconds passed. He's like, excuse me, sir. And I was like, motherfucker, I'm about to douse you with petrol, man. And we know what's going to come next. He's like, what? He's like, can I leave? I was like, yes. He's like, okay. That's my story. Sandman, what's up, baby?
You should have said no.
Got word that I'm going to be getting medically released from the military in a couple of years, so I got plenty of time to get some schooling and stuff done, get the military to pay for that, and then time to move on.
J-Man.
Yeah. Should I give the diarrhea talk, or... You see, ladies and gentlemen, when you eat something incredibly acidic, and then you drink something very, very basic, a sort of Tekken tournament occurs in your stomach, and the winner gets fired out of your anus in liquid form.
Right.
Also, wake up, Pedro.
Welcome to my head. Nah, I actually spent most of the week fucking around with the Zotac Pico boxes. Basically just putting Linux on them to test the embedded software we're developing at work. And, well, admittedly, I kind of wanted to take one home, but my boss wouldn't let me, so, yeah.
we got a couple of those around work. They suck.
Zoltac.
Just a tiny little thing, x86.
For like a TV box?
One thing we do have here at work is the Steamy Horsey. What's it up to?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's preparing for that big release at GDC. Maybe he's going to break something off and go in a completely different direction. But it's our Steam
Lex
update.
Halloween.
The hype machine continues to churn out hype. This is from developonline.net. Links all this crap in our show notes as usual. Developers from Steam, EA, Unity, Epic, and Oxide are coming out at GDC to discuss GL Next, or some of you may know it better as OpenGL 5Z. So what does this mean? Well, absolutely nothing. Apparently the article is just reporting on the fact that a bunch of people are showing up.
Yeah, that GDC hasn't happened yet, so...
Clickbait! Clickbait!
It is clickbait, but I mean, there's definitely talk about a new version of OpenGL that's going to break away, kind of like Java should, from all the backwards compatibility and maybe create some new sauce and a new competing standard. It's kind of what I'm looking at. Do you got any thoughts about it, J-Man?
Well, I mean...
Do we need it?
Do we need it? Well, yeah, I mean, that's the bricks. People don't want to write OpenGL code. They've made that abundantly clear. And if you want to have a modern open standard graphics language and a modern open graphics semantic, then you basically have to ditch all the what? How old is OpenGL now? Like 20 years, 25 years old now?
A little bit.
25, 26?
Yeah, a little longer than that, 26.
Something like that. You got 25 years worth of backwards compatibility cruft that you just got to get rid of. And that's just the nature of the beast. If you want to make the language modernized, you have to get rid of this old C-style syntax and move on to something a little more sane and a little more feature-rich that handles threading a little better, and so on and so forth.
Did you think they'll take like the approach with like DX12 and like Mantle and come up with something a bit more closer to the metal?
Well, that seems to be what all the talk is saying, and that's... I guess developers want a more console-like developing environment for their 3D stuff.
And hey, Microsoft's already doing it with DirectX 12, so...
Yep, Apple was doing it with their Metal framework.
Yep,
Mantle.
And I know I'm going to regret doing this, but Sandy, what are your thoughts?
See, now, like I was saying in the show notes, you guys can read that later, but like the big thing is like, yeah, it is all the developers getting together and saying, hey, like we need a new API. Things got to change. Like this is getting really old. Jordan said it best. Yeah, there has to be a change. It'll be easier down the road to bring a lot of that older stuff back with a new API because everything will be like the syntax and everything will be easier to combine together to be able to have more of a open sort of
you have no idea what you're talking about.
Streamline. That's the word. Wake up. But like, yeah, no, and that's exactly what it needs. You know what I mean? And I think everyone's going to benefit from this, really.
Well, tell me about them eggs, Pedro.
The what? Oh, yes. This is Steam's newfound way of monetizing other people's games, as if the storefront wasn't enough. But yeah, this is a new tool that is available for developers that have their games on Steam to better allow them to manage the way that the game provides the players with the in-game items into the Steam inventory system.
Wait, you mean that's not already there?
Only the trading cards. Most of the games that actually use the inventory are a couple of old ones, and the actual Valve games like TF2, CSGO.
They also add an API for the whole crafting mechanic as well.
Yeah.
If you want to have like custom recipes or whatnot for your cards, they provide the means to do that. Yep. Again, it's not really anything of value. At least I don't think. But
it isn't. But then again, if you look at the Steam Marketplace, you see like those random boxes that give you weapon reskins on Counter-Strike Go selling for 40 euros a pop. Yeah, I think Valve's kind of hit the fly on this one, because allowing people to actually sell their in-game items through the Steam market is going to get Valve a hell of a lot more money. So yeah, all the eggs in one basket.
Counterpoint, Diablo 3, the auction house. That completely...
yes. But Blizzard cocked up the auction house. Blizzard really screwed the pooch on that one. Valve has had the market for how long?
Pedro.
But Valve's already got the market running. It's been proven, and hey, apparently content creators on Steam make like $50 million. So
Collectively, not.
All right, you two just go ahead and
Collectively,
fuck.
yes.
Let's talk about Leadwerks gameplay.
We will once Pedro wakes up. Yes. But this is...
I got that to look forward to.
This is the Leadwerks game player. It lets you play with Leadwerks games. What games are we talking about? The fuck if I know.
Well, there is that one that's still in beta that you have to pay. Is the one Linux game that I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you got all them tech demos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and all those Leadwerks Game Jam things. Those are some quality games.
But I did definitely have to ask J-Man exactly what in fuck all does this thing do? It escaped me.
It lets you play games available on like the Leadwerks store, I guess. What is some?
It is basically a Steam client within the Steam client
play free
that
games,
lets you play
free
the Leadwerks
self-publishing,
tech
play your
demos.
own games in the living room, VR mode. Whoa! Anyway,
Pointlessness on an Inception level.
they're on green light. They're looking for that.
So Leadwerks. Where is my killer app? Get back to me on that.
Yeah.
Sandy.
No, absolutely. Like they haven't even produced anything, and yet they're so delusional that they can think that they can compete with Valve on the fact within Valve's own application, Steam. They think they can create their own Steam.
What makes you think they're competing? These are all free
I don't
games.
think they're competing. They're just allowing a centralized way for people to download all the tech demos.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we're competing, but we're not competing.
It basically lets like indie guys who are making shitty free games bypass the whole green light process and Steam approval process. Just play through Leadwerks, and Leadwerks has to administer their own.
It's like integrating
Cutoff
Dasura
section.
into Steam.
That's a horrible idea.
but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Because we got to talk about Dying Light,
I'm
baby.
I'm just dying.
Is it dead yet?
Man, I was kind of excited because we were like, oh yes, this game that I paid almost 60 quid for that I have yet to play with a 980. 1.3Z patch notes, Windows Linux, fix various co-op crash, blah blah blah. Showing P-Man a little love with the 970.
They're playing nice now. It looks like.
This is the big one right here. Performance issues of systems based on the AMD. I, for one, happen to have said AMD processor, and I shit you not. I shit you not.
Maybe you'll hit that elusive 31st frame a second.
I launched this after the patch. It started the game using 1 out of the 8 cores, and you might be wondering to yourself, man, I bet that took 5 fucking minutes is how long that took, Brad. That's how long that took. Then you go through this business of, okay, just restart it. Then it launched normally, which takes like 12, 13 seconds. Can I play it? No, it still struggles to hit 30 FERPs, even at 1080p, with a 980.
But at least they're not nicing your processes to 19. That's one fix they actually
Yeah,
did.
but at the very least, they do have the list of acknowledged issues that they're working on. So,
and
assuming they're actually
of
working on them,
bugs.
but I'm not buying the game until they actually fix their shit.
Well, at least
I'm
on
not
the
playing this
upside,
game
it's
until
not
it hits
just
$5.
Linux users and guys on AMD. It's everyone. Both Windows and Linux users are getting fucked on this. So I'm happy about that, at least.
Well,
You're happy that you're getting fucked?
Yes, everyone's getting
Sandy,
fucked.
that sounds like a nightmare coming from you.
Yeah, it is. But speaking of nightmares, Penumbra, the Necrolog, the mod that is part of the Penumbra series, is made it onto Steam. But there seems to be some issues with downloading and installing, which I'm not too impressed about. Pedro, you had an issue with that too, eh?
I think everyone did.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Steam install option is pretty much borked. You can still download the mod on IndieDB. There'll be a link for that in the show notes. But yeah, it is a mod for Amnesia, The Dark Descent. It's a fan-made mod to continue the Penumbra series, which were like the precursors to Amnesia. And in my opinion, I liked Penumbra Overture better than Amnesia: The Dark Descent. But I'm a heathen.
Yeah, I'll confirm that it didn't.
He's also
on this
pretty
business. I re-downloaded the machine for pig organs and tried that. Play, waited. Well, that didn't happen. Play. No.
It busted.
So, then immediately feels like, I don't care that much. So.
Apparently, according to Pedro, you can grab the files from IndieDB, toss them into your Steam apps directory, and you should be good to go.
All right. So, Soul.
Destination Sol, or however you want to spell that.
So this is the video game equivalent of Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul.
The show title.
I wish it was, but no. This is a procedurally generated space exploration cave flyer / lunar lander type thing. And I was looking at it and I'm like, oh shit, Terry's got some competition for Retro Booster. And hey, free to play. Terry, remember the one gripe we had with your game on the review? Well, one of them. Yeah. So I was just about ready to, whenever the game finished downloading, to give Terry shit and say, hey, these guys are doing it just like you, and they're doing it for free. But I was wrong, because the game is procedurally generated, and Terry's...
more... no, there's no weird hardware requirements. No, I was going to say that the main difference here is there's more emphasis on this game on like the exploration and whatnot, as opposed to Retro Booster, which is about balls to the walls hard puzzles.
Right. I really
this
like
one's
the
like an open world
resolution options from 800 by 600.
No resolution options. No option to rebind controls.
It has 3 options for resolution. That big, that big, that big.
One final point. We should totally review this next week and give it 2.5 chairs, breaking our fraction rules just to spite Terry. Just to spite Terry.
Did you play it?
No, I haven't played it at all. I haven't even checked it out yet, really. After I saw the comments, I was like, I'm definitely going to steer clear of that one for a little while until they sort everything out. So, yeah. But
all right. Let's talk about
Apotheon. Yeah, Apotheon, a very Greek-styled platforming action game where you got to take down the gods of Olympus, is now hitting open beta for Linux.
2D God of War.
Pretty freaking sweet.
What is it? You never heard about it? I mean, this thing clocks in normally at 14.99. Heroic action game set with a vibrant world of ancient blah, blah, blah. I think you had a very apt description of it. It only shows the Windows icon
there.
It's like Guacamole in ancient Greece with no Nazis.
And worse graphics and like really funky ragdoll physics.
But as you bring up, it is a flip it game, so basically every single feature on every single controller in the history of ever will work.
P-Man.
Yep.
Honestly, I looked at the trailer. I saw the post by Flibit, and then I saw your post sharing his post on Google Plus. Clicked through to the Steam store. I looked at the trailer, and this feels very floaty. The character seems to have trouble staying on the ground, or jump physics don't even work like that. So well, they're in open beta now. Maybe they'll fix it.
Maybe try it. I mean, when I was looking at the price on that, and I was like, if you want something that A, looks better, B, has tighter controls, and definitely from Flibbity Jibbity Bitty Bada Bo, Dust, Middle Asian Tale.
Dust.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pick that up instead. But speaking of Tales,
it's a Microsoft published game on Linux, which
brilliant.
doubles the irony. Coming up next, Desura gets some bad juju. We talk tentacle porn and ogres.
And it's the news. But first, we got to get some Patreons out of the way, because apparently people really like whatever it is that we do, because I personally can't quite figure it out. But hey, Mr. Mango Sir, you may know him
San, Mango Kun,
yes.
Mango Chan.
Yeah,
he's actually one of our new backers.
And we also have Patrick Nielsen.
And Ryan, someone.
And Ryan, you're wondering, what is Patreon? I've never heard of it. It's a way. It's kind of like a value for value deal we got. If you find a little bit of entertainment and joy on Saturday night, if you're watching us live with our lackady hairdos and our sparkly cowboy boots, or maybe you listen after the fact, audio or video, you can, chip in. 5 cents works, 10 cents. Get those numbers up. Right now, we're currently at 55.87. We've already got 3 milestones. Now you see this horrible, horrible face up here. That's your fault, actually, because Winter Sandman was reached
really need
at
to add
50.
that exit light.
Right.
But,
Coming up
we are-
next, we'll be trying again at 75 wet stinkies, J-Man.
Yeah, we got to start trying all the way from the beginning. And when we say beginning, not the beginning of Trine 2. No, we got to buy Trine Enchanted Edition, beat that, and then start over Trine 2. So that'll guarantee us years and years of videos. I'll tell you that.
That's pretty brilliant. But seriously, I mean, we also have the PayPal things there. If you like this business, anything. Just
And the usual Amazon affiliate links.
helps us out. So,
Yeah.
up first, Ziggy Frack.
Sure.
So I just kind of ran across this, for all the guys that don't, the guy at Zig Frack and all that business. And it's kind of caught my attention organ. He writes, a message for Zig Frack players on Desura, who immediately deleted this news post there. Real cool guys. And you wonder, what is this post? Zig Frack is kind of like an MMO space fighting game. It's currently $4.99. Wet, stinky caches, but man, this guy unloads. And pretty epically, very well thought out. Basically, he lays down the logic of, it's like, if you're wondering if you're still on Desura, the place where games that can't get green light end up, it's like, why are we a couple of versions behind? He's like, well, everything's completely busted with getting it uploaded. Version control's a pain in the ass. I don't like the business. And he posted that, it's not hating on anybody at Desura. It's just matter of fact,
it's a legitimate
laying
complaint.
it out. And
Yeah.
they deleted his post. Like, no, you can't say. It's like, Desura, bro, everyone knows you suck. I mean, what are your thoughts
Well,
on that?
Apparently,
we
he's already
know
gotten
that
in touch
the,
with someone because there's a bit of a parentheses update on the first paragraph. It says, just had a pleasant exchange with the new management over there who addressed my concerns like a pro. We cool. So, yeah.
I was going to say the
Mhm.
cocaine. The guys at Bad Juju, we know they watch the show. So were this not to have been resolved behind the scenes, well, I would have asked them. These are valid complaints. What you gonna do about it, brother? And apparently, as Sandy said so eloquently, they have snapped into that veritable Slim Jim.
Yeah, like one of the big things is like I love Desura. It is like my first love for digital distribution on Linux. And because that's what got me into like a lot of the games that are on Linux was Desura. And I really want to see it succeed, but like so far, like reskinning the old client, it still crashes. Like they need to like sit down and reorganize how the Desura client is made. And they just, they got to start from scratch with the Desura client. Like something's got to be reorganized somewhere at Bad Juju.
I agree. Maybe a shift in focus straight from like straight up digital distribution to, again, like I've said before, maybe focus on the fact that they have the entire ModDB community behind them. That would be a fairly good mod distribution system.
Yeah.
Maybe leverage that.
All right, so that's brilliant, but there's nothing wrong with me.
Nothing wrong with me.
Everything
Nothing wrong with me.
Octodad, the deadliest catch.
The
Deals in
deadliest. catch.
4.9 million in gross revenue, and this comes from Joystick. And the guys at Young
for now.
Horses shared like charts and stuff like that, showing like platforms that it's sold on and how much of it sold on each platform, and total hours worked that they worked on the game, and like so you go in here and you see like Linux has a modest 0.8% of the market share, and this is from 400,000, 59,000 units sold. So like that's not too bad, really, when you think about it.
That lines up with what we know about the number of Linux gamers out there. Period.
It's about spot on, but one thing I definitely want to see is what those numbers would look like if it was a simultaneous release, because I know, right? Steam counts if you play it on that operating system for the first week and all that, and a lot of people, I hate to say it, dual boot. We don't, because we're not filthy dual booters, but they already own the game. So that sale didn't count. And it was quite a while. There was a bit of an air gap between when it was released and released on the Linuxes. What were you saying, P-Man?
No, it's just according to Steam, Linux is currently at 1.1%, and according to their sales, 0.5%? 0.9. No, 0.9. So yeah, it's close. But again, going from 1.1%
that figure
to
is
0.
also factoring in PS4 sales as well. So that number is going to be a bit skewed.
Yeah, and all things considered, Steam has over 90 million active accounts. So there's a big difference between 1.1% and 0.9%. There's a couple of thousand people in those 0.2 discrepancies there.
Still, if you are on Linux and you haven't checked this game out, after they sorted out their controller issues, which is the main source of our complaints from our original CHAIRQUISITION last year, it's actually a pretty fun game. So give it a shot, I'd say. Pick it up.
Okay. Let the bodies.
Oh, let the bodies hit the floor. Killing Floor 2 screenshots shown from PAX South. Cool. Let the bodies hit the floor. And this is coming from Tripwire Interactive. Like, they showed off all the little goodies that they showed at PAX South. Personally, for me, a lot of the models that they showed in the screenshots, they kind of look like the ones from the first game. It's just they retexturized them and like just gave them a little more love for like just a lot of the texture and, you know, coloring and stuff like that.
Still looks better than Killing Floor 1. I'll give it that.
Yeah. But it's still, the shape of the models themselves still looks like the original models. It's just, they just retextured them.
Screenshots are nice, but they're stills. One of the biggest gripes I had with the first Killing Floor was the animations of the enemies and the player characters too. I would very much like to see that reworked, but maybe that's just me.
I definitely think they're reworking on it, and, you know, they've said that we're going to get it for the Linuxes, so I'm good with that. And remember, kids, it's whacked pre-purchase, but what's this?
Most advanced core system on the planet.
It looks like an onion or parfait.
Yes. See,
Google Summer of Code.
Ogres are like onions or parfaits, or, you know, that one chick from Hannibal season 2, which Fenn's gonna hate me. Anyways, this if you don't know what Google Summer of Code is, basically Google gives a bunch of money to various open source projects to pay students for work over the summer so that they can get some work experience, development on some sort of project, and so on and so forth. So, if you are a game developer, student-y type person, you should maybe head on over to this, because the guys at Ogre 3D do a fairly decent job. They're fueling the open source implementation of Morrowind, so that should be your main reason for joining this. They got a page full of ideas what they want. What is some of this shit? Wow, I should have fucking queued this link up beforehand. No, they want people to work on their build system. They want people. They're actually looking for ideas. So, you know, hop on that if you're a student. Open source projects are really good resume patterns. So check that out.
Yes, they are.
The link to the idea thing is in the show notes. You can check that out. And now, speaking of useless full screen applications,
it's full screen Linux gaming improved, or so this guy claims. This comes from michaelb.org. And yeah, it is one of those run a separate X session to have your game not be, you know, not messing with the whatever desktop environment you're currently using. There is an option to download a tar.gz. You don't have to use the deb. So the new version basically is just bug fixes, but the version before that, he actually introduced some new stuff like a resizable config window, some new preferences, script previews, and actually informative warning and error messages. That's the one.
Okay, I think J-Man had a very valid point reading through this, and yeah, what is the advantages of?
Yes, so someone please tell me the performance gains you will get for creating an entirely new X session, which takes about half a gig of RAM. and then loading in addition to the existing X server, and then starting up another game inside it, essentially increasing your overhead.
You don't really get any performance increases from running a separate X session because, like you said, you're adding another X session on top of the X session you're currently running. Granted,
plus you actually have to switch physical terminals if you want to go back to your regular stuff. That's annoying.
Yeah, it does that automatically. No, it actually handles that for you. It makes alt tabbing out of those games that like to grab all your keyboard input that much easier. But there are some window managers that actually fuck up with some games, and there are some game engines, Unity, that like to, say, stretch across both monitors with complete disregard to what a monitor physical space is.
So,
but yeah,
I got a question for you. How does this handle multi-monitor setups? Because I've never played with this before.
It handles it better than Unity does. When you set this up, you go into the configs and you say, okay, so you're using 1080p and you're using, like, say, you're starting to draw the window at the 0x0 pixel. So yeah, it starts at the 0x0 of however you have.
So does it do like a virtual GL window or like what?
It's sort of like a different GL window. Yes.
Like how Bumblebee does it, where you can have two X sessions running in parallel.
Yep. Sandy, do you have any idea what they're talking about?
For multi-monitor support, like, I know it's for multi-monitor support, but other than that, like, I know with the indication for 0 for the X session, the 0 is supposed to be your first monitor, and then it's supposed to be 1, 0 is your second monitor. I think. I'm pretty sure.
All right, seriously, I'm taking that as a no. All right, coming up next, Rigs and Rods. What is this? You have definitely probably never heard of it because it has died, but it's back, rising like a Jordan,
like Jesus,
from the ashes. This is personally one of my unicorn games. I've never been able to make this stupid thing compile over the years. We're talking like 4, possibly 5 years. But they got a new guy on board. He's putting some things together. They've 2 new develops. They got a new menu, new GUI, and maybe like, what is Rigs and Rods? Never heard of it. Well, it's an open source soft body vehicle simulator, and you see, that's one.
And what does that mean?
Things, Brad. Things. Here, let me show you. Basically, it's a fuck around sandbox based on real world physics. You think maybe like Gary's Mod with more maths.
So kind of like Burnout, but with, physics.
Well,
Interstate 76?
Here's a good example. We're watching a car and it's going to destruct. I mean, you have to create all the models and they're supposed to work, and it's rendered in real time. So
interesting.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of tech demos of it. Most of them are Windows only because, like Ven mentioned, it hasn't been easy to get it to compile in Linux.
No, I got to say, true story about this. This was the first game I ran into that had CMake. So my first thought was like, why does a build system need a GUI? Then I started looking, I was like, oh, fuck all, that's why. Oh. Fortunately, CMake has gotten better over the years. It's not so much nightmare fuel, but
what's
this, P-Man?
But it's time to duel.
Yes, going from CMake to QMake, it's the arena tracker helper for Hearthstone. And you may say, but Pedro, Hearthstone is not available for Linux. I know, but this works. It's a native Linux application which will grab the log files from the Wine version of Hearthstone. And, well, I built it. I compiled it. It works. I actually tested it out. Ben's showing you the screenshot right there. It works. That's me playing an arena game. You can see the deck on the right side. The cards that I still haven't drawn and the ones that I have, well, they're at the bottom of the screen. So yeah,
so Pedro, were you finally able to summon Exodia with it, or
Thaddeus and Voltron?
I had no idea what.
Interesting point. There's another open source card game player for playing Magic the Gathering. It's called Caucasus, and I noticed this too requires Qtmake. So if you're playing card games on Linux, Qt make all the things.
Do you play the Magic Sandman?
You know what? I'm not a big fan of card games, so I never really looked at this. So I'm not I don't roll that way.
You're more with the D20s and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm with the D20s.
And the fudge dice. All right, coming up next, we review Kelvin Purple Prophecy Remastered. Hello, chairs.
Hello to all the chairs.
Hello to the chairs.
In unison, guys. Come on, we practiced this.
No,
guess what? You're
really
a lizard, Harry, and we're reviewing Centigrade Purple Premonition Remastered. This is Aspire's secret project that they've been working on for the past couple months and teasing us with. It's a PlayStation 2/Xbox game that has since been ported to the Linuxes. It'll run you $8.99 or $8.99 Space Euros or $9.99 with stinky space bucks. What is it? Originally released in 2005, Fahrenheit, now known as Indigo Prophecy, was a breakthrough in an interactive narrative. The newly remastered edition features updated textures in HD, full controller support for a console game that required controllers, and is based on the uncut and uncensored international version of the game. And yet, when you take a shower within the first 20 minutes, you see no dick. So, with our fancy new CHAIRQUISITION robes, we might as well wheel out the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's shit, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means that's amazing. And, of course, we have our categories. Oh, Doom makes with working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. And for I will sing this little bit and stop. So, let's kick this off, because these robes are kind of hot. Not just in the temperate way. So, Ben, did it make with the working?
Brother Svang, it made with very much working. No, seriously, it did. We tested this on the octo-core Ubuntu 1404 LTS box of business with a 980 on a 4K display. And I'm getting a solid 80 to 100 FERPs at 3480 by 2160. Good on them with occasional frame dip. For fuck all reason, but that's normally when it's transitioning, maybe loading some of that business. So I'm going to give it 4 chairs.
I missed this at first, but I joked in the show notes I was looking forward to the Advanced Video Options DLC. Apparently, you need to set it to custom if you want to fuck around with anything more. Ugh, man, stay down, stomach. Anything more than the resolution. As Ben mentioned, even on 980 at 4K, on the 670 superclocked at 1080p, it's locked at about 100 frames a second, which through Pedro's amazing detective work, which I could not have reasoned without.
I was just confirming that.
Yeah,
stop being an asshole.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, sweet cheeks. Yeah. So, the game somewhat works. My main gripe is, and I'll get into this more in Shiny and Sounds, the little Aspire logo and all like the brought you by shit sounds perfectly fine. And then when the game starts, you get buffer underruns out of fucking nowhere. So I'm going to give that 3 chairs.
Well, and really complain on my end, much like Ben and Jordan already mentioned, it's kept at 100 frames, won't go above that. It gets a little dip here and there, transitioning from actual gameplay to the cutscenes. You can't really tell the difference, but hey, it works.
They're all game engine cutscenes, and then the stuff is really pre-rendered.
Yeah, they're all rendered. So for me, on the Amiga with the FX 8370E and the GTX 970 Strix, it ran without an issue. 4 chairs. Oh, Fedora 2164-bit.
Well, as long as it doesn't use more than 3.5 gigs of RAM.
And as for me, on the octo-core Ubuntu 1404 LTS, running the 6670 HD, it ran okay for the opening videos, but then when it came to the menu was utterly fucked. Now, I went to the INI file just to see if I could tweak the full screen, put it into window mode. It went into windowed mode, and then still the same thing. So then I right-click, go into the properties, take out the Steam overlay, and bam, it works. So because of that horsing around, I'm giving it 3 cheers.
All right, so that's 3 cheers for Mix with the working. Up next, Shiny and Sounds. Ben, was your mind blown by the 10-year-old graphics of awesomeness?
Fortunately, it was, but the fancy robe hood thingy held it in. This game was built for the PS2 and the Xbox, and man, it shows. Nice textures wrapped around those archaic models. Even for its time, those models were not the bee's knees, you might say. It's a bit jarring, and some of the animation rigging is fuck all laughable. My 2 favorite ones, as far, I've progressed about an hour and a half into this business. But when he's waking up and he's having the flashback with a knife, and he's cutting himself, and the knife is just flailing around, not touching his arm. Yeah. I lost my shit there. And shortly after, another shit-losing event. It's like, I'll have some milk from the ice box. Yes. It just flips directly upside down. He's having that. So, the sounds are fine. Voice acting completely passable for its time. And I absolutely get, it's an interactive movie. Sadly, whoever directed the scene cuts with this is like, whoosh, all this. Never visited film school, I have to say. So, 2 chairs. So say the chair.
Yeah, see, this game is very dialogue heavy, and there are so many pulse underruns. It's ridiculous. It's like listening to some dubstep remix of people talking. And now okay, so there are a bunch of steps I can take to mitigate this, but I kind of want to approach the game from I'm just installing it without any further modifications to the operating system. So if you're going to have buffer underruns for pulse audio, I'm gonna have to deal with it, and that basically kills much of the dialogue in the game. But like Ven said, remaster or no, this is very clearly a PlayStation 2 game. The voice acting is decent at times, but the dialogue isn't that great, and they're doing their best with the crap material, but yeah. So all in all, I gotta give this 2 chairs. It's kind of visually meh, and auditorily, it's all right.
So, you guys already mentioned this, but all the characters move like they all come from Morrowind. If you played Morrowind back in 2002, you may remember how they walked, that really stilted power walk that they did. It feels very much out of place because everything is super high res, and it's jarring to see like really old models and really old animations. Yeah. And then Vin and Jordan said that the voice acting was competent. I don't think so. The policeman and the waitress that you have to interview at the beginning, it was cringeworthy. It caused me physical pain to listen to that. And like Jordan said, the dialogue is not very well written. I can't give it 1 chair because 1 chair means that the game would be busted or that sounds were completely porked, but they're not, so 2 chairs.
I have to say, because the chairs, they come from the Book of Folding, they say the graphics were subpar. Yes, the game is 10 years old. You could probably do a little more than just reskinning old models. Maybe fix up the animations. I'd probably just throwing that out there.
Sandy, you just froze. There we go. Keep going.
And
just fro.
The chairs are rejecting his opinion.
Yes.
Shun him. Shun the non-believer.
And like, the soundtrack was okay. Like, it was definitely trying to be a movie for sure. Like, especially like with the dead guy like appearing in the mirror, and he's like,
we'll get to that in the fun.
Yeah. And then one thing I didn't understand was the Theory of a Dead Man soundtrack. When you play the CD player, all of a sudden you have like a shit ton of their one album. Like, out of the 4 CDs that was in there, it was only Theory of a Dead Man.
Did you mean Theory of a Nickel Jam?
Yeah, Theory of a Nickel Jam. But, like, honestly, I'd never played the game before, so, like, I couldn't get too critical with it. I'm sure it was good for at the time, but I wasn't too impressed by what happened. But I'm happy it's on Linux. So it's a new game that's on Linux, so I'm going to give it 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. What about controls? Ben, make me fries.
One bizarre hymn after another. Everything actually worked using the infamous X-Clone controller of cloniness. But the controls themselves, they're a bit hit or miss. Sometimes I can walk right up to a door organ, boom, do the side thing, and it opens. The other time, getting shit accomplished, flail. And eventually it might happen. That fuck all busted camera of randomness. Really? Seriously. You have your left and right trigger organs here, and you're instructed. During the tutorial, I was like, this will pan left and right. And I'm like, okay, I can work with this, because I want the console experience and sit back and not use the gerbil of the keyboard. But left and right might pan, or get this, hard cut, depending on the scene. Sometimes you can, oh yeah, I'm going to look around, which is very natural. It's like, yep, I want to be over here, do this. Other times you hit those buttons, it's like, boom, hard cut, boom, hard cut. Confusing as fuck all. Didn't appreciate that. But that's really the only pick of nit I have. 3 chairs. So say me.
Quick time events, the game. I keep confusing this game with Heavy Rain, and I think is it the same
by the same guy? Oh yeah,
same guy.
David Cage.
Yeah.
It's all David Cage.
Yeah. Calm down, Tommy Wiseau. The controls are fine until you try to navigate specific areas. Now I tried with both the Xbox controller of a Nya, and I pulled out my roommate's old PlayStation 3 controller because that's old now. Over Nya, because I don't know, some of the button positioning doesn't really make sense with the button travel with the Xbox controller. So I figured this game was really made for PlayStation 2. Maybe a PlayStation 2 style controller would help, and it kind of did. Going back to the controls are fine until you try to do like fine navigation into like corners or whatnot. It'll just like walk you into a wall or something. Trying to target specific cupboards and whatnot when you're trying to open them when you're in your apartment. I spent like a good 5 minutes opening the same cupboard again and again until I realized that no matter how far to the left you go, that is the only cupboard you can actually open. I thought I was just aiming incorrectly. The menus, like for some of the choices, are just like ridiculous, because it's like press up on the right analog stick to do X, press left to do X or to do Y. So I press up, but because it was slightly to the left, it picks the other option, and that got annoying when I'm just like essentially playing craps with my dialogue options. And some of the QuickTime events, like when you're having the vision of the cop coming, it's not the stencil that shows you where you need to move the analog stick is a little too transparent, so you can't really see what combinations you need to press, especially when they just sort of flash in front of you. So I'm gonna give this 2 chairs. It's passable, but it's not great.
Yeah, this was very much a PS2 game. I remember I played it with the demo with this very same controller. The binary choice pop-up dialogues, the ones that just require you to pick yes or no, this thing wouldn't register them. I tried every single button, would not fucking work. How
did you try the Shield controller?
I tried the Shield controller. I didn't actually run into any of the yes or no dialogues. But yeah, the game itself, after I plug it in and Steam recognizes it, oh yeah, you already plugged this in, it's set up like this. So yeah, it works with Aaron Plattner's fix. It's still not ideal because there are some things that still don't work on that controller. But yeah, it sort of kind of works. This one, on the other hand, I expected everything to work with it, and it doesn't.
What do you think this is, a PlayStation game?
How do you mess up a PS2 game so that it does not work with a PS2 controller?
That uses an adapter that's not officially supported in the Linux.
Well, it technically is, but
Through direct input.
hey, yeah. Much like Jordan, I freaking hate QuickTime events. I hate them with a passion. 2 chairs.
All right. I had 0 issues with the old F710. I switched it between the direct input and the X input. 0 issues there. But like Jordan said, like, just controlling a lot of the commands, doing, like, say, the cupboard, going to the fridge, like, it's very fickle. Even though you're, like, already on the other end of the kitchen, you know, it's still asking for that one cupboard. Some of the commands don't make sense. Like, the window made sense because it was like, if you want to open the window, do up. If you want to close it, do down. Like, some of those commands made sense, but other ones just didn't make sense.
How about waking up in an apartment and it clearly says it's -10 and your window's open?
And your window's open.
But naked.
Yeah.
But
And
clearly you don't live in Canada, so
yeah, my wrists, they are on fire. But yeah, but other than that, like, there's no real issues with the controller. It was obviously they wanted it to be well done for the controller, but yeah, so I'm just gonna give it 3 chairs.
all right, so that's 2 chairs for the controls. And finally, Potato Wave, it's fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Interactive movie is... What? Oh, right. It's an interactive movie. Seriously. This is Fuck the Colorblind QuickTime Simulator 2015. That pops up. I'm the transparent overlay. I'm definitely with J-Man on this business. It's like, what? I'm looking at it on a 28-inch 4K monitor. Trust me, it should be very visible. It's not, Brad. I don't hate the game. I really do not hate the game. I hate the whole mothering concept of interactive movies. This loathing in Genesis started with Night Trap, and it didn't get any better, and it never will. So,
Night Trap, damn,
boom,
that's
1 chair.
that's
Sega
an old
CD.
reference. It is kind of fun to make everyone as incompetent as possible.
Yeah.
I will say, when I was trying to mop up the blood in the bathroom, the guy does a shitty job. I cleaned up bathrooms for like 2 years. That would not pass. Oh man, it's just amateur hour.
Your
What the
Jew
fuck?
sneaking out.
It's yeah, like Ben said, it's also fun to watch the game models sort of fail at performing basic tasks like drinking milk or opening doors or moonwalking. But so with a game like this, really the story has to grab you because you're kind of along for the ride. It's Dragon's Lair E in that you can sort of determine the path that you go. But ultimately, you need to be enthralled by the story to see where it's going. It didn't really grab me from the beginning. I have to dispose of a body in a bathroom. It's like, geez, is it fucking Tuesday already? So you go through the steps. I apparently missed the knife under the garbage can because I thought I saw the guy pocket it, but whatever. Yeah. This sort of format might work better with a story like Gun Machine by Warren Ellis, which I thought would like really fit this style of gameplay. But the story just doesn't do it, and I have no incentive to play it anymore. The characters are insufferable, and just the controls make it a nightmare to play at 1 chair. Again, this is not really Aspire's fault. I don't think they did a competent job porting the game. I think the game is fundamentally unfun. Mind you, if you're a fan of the original Fahrenheit/Indigo Prophecy game, you may actually like this, but I did not.
And then again, if you've already played the original Indigo Prophecy everywhere in the world, or Fahrenheit in North America, You have zero
it was
reason
the
to
other
play
way
it
around,
again.
wasn't it? Because Fahrenheit's
No.
copyrighted in the US.
Review. Go with it.
One of those, yeah. One of those. So, yeah, I absolutely refuse to endorse a quote-unquote game by someone like David Cage. He is very clearly a Hollywood reject director who sees video games as a way to push his movie scripts, which failed, without going under the scrutiny of movie critics. Unfortunately for him, video game critics are much more of an asshole than, movie critics. I also hate the fact that the game keeps telling me how to feel. Oh, you're stressed now. Oh, you're slightly relieved. You don't need to fucking tell me how I'm supposed to feel. If you're a competent game dev...
I gotta cut in for a second. When you pee, your anxiety rises. That's the exact opposite of what happens in real life.
Yeah, but you don't need to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. If you're a competent dev, you can make your game make me feel the way you want me to. You don't have to tell me. One chair.
Lisa, you're tearing me apart. This is a terrible movie. This was a terrible game. Okay, like Aspire, you guys did a phenomenal job porting it. It runs great, but terrible game to pick. Like, this is just not fun. The story is cheesy. The characters are terrible. The music was the only good thing, really, aside from, like the Nickelback soundtrack. But other than that, yeah, I'm giving this one chair.
Listen, Sandy, you can stick your stupid comments and put them in your pocket. But you get one chair for the fun and 2 chairs for the final score. So, if you are a fan of Indigo Prophecy, if you want to support Aspire, if you just like suffering through really bad movies that aren't even laughably bad. I mean, at least Manos you can laugh at. Speaking of Manos, I mean, look at these fucking robes.
I know they're brilliant. But,
Master
I guess on our final wrap-up, what I'll say about this noise is, after a full solid on into this, because we're going to play this, we bought this. This wasn't a gift copy. And I'm sitting there going, where's the fucking popcorn? This is boring. Like, but you can switch between different... that sucks more fun out of it, because now I know everything that's going on from all angles. Especially since I inadvertently delinked myself in the first scene from them having any physical evidence on me. So, one thing I did find out, I was looking for cheats. And there's a way to get an actual shotgun that works. But I don't want to suffer through going through that noise in order to get it. Just to be the hobo with a shotgun. P-Man.
Again, I've already mentioned most of what I could say. David Cage wants to be a movie director. He has failed in every single attempt he's tried to push a movie to Hollywood, so now he's pushing his agenda on video games. Do not support that guy. But that's just me.
Fuck him.
Yeah, so that wraps it up for Kelvin Mauve Premonition Precursor, whatever the fuck it's called. Indigo Prophecy. Coming up next, a really, really bad commercial recorded by us, and then your hate mail.
We need to pay some bills, Ben.
Yeah, you know what? I got a great idea for a truck dating site.
Oh,
Trucker dating site.
What's it called, Brad?
It's called trucker.biz.
.biz?
Biz. Give it the biz.
Well, what do people do on this magnificent site?
Well, when you're in the middle of a long trip of changing gears and murdering prostitutes, sometimes you get a little lonely and you want to meet like-minded individuals. So I think this is a good site to facilitate that.
Possibly. I mean, so you've already registered your bitching domain name, though, correct?
I have, but I just need to find some hosting.
P-Man.
Don't know who to turn to.
It seems like maybe we could we help?
Yeah, we could. Perhaps I know a guy. He's kind of scaly. He likes to wear sunglasses or fart leaves every now and again. He seems cool, though. It's snappy.
Look at Schnappy. We're talking about HostGator right now because they're bringing this business to you, kicking us a few quid if you kick them a few. Unlimited web hosting, unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, easy control panel. Try that demo. Look at it. It's brilliant. 99.9% uptime at 20% off, starting at $3.96 a month. They got regular hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated hosting, even if you want to be your own host. And J-Man, all this is starting at 20% off.
If only there was some sort of magical, miraculous coupon that I could sell my firstborn.
Summon moon magic!
Money discount.
Oh, no!
That's the wrong thing! It's 3 chairs of awesome!
Yes! That's LinuxGameCast. Offer code of Season-S. Enter LinuxGameCast FTW. That's for the winners and not for the win. That helps us out. We get a few quid out of that business.
And you get 25, not 20, but 25% off your hosting. Kind of awesome.
Oh my god! For sure we'll beat the communists with that kind of pricing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my camera's tilted far too high. Let's see if I can adjust it with just a little bit.
No,
like
you got to stay on the Dutch angle,
too.
Pedro. This is
To
Battlefield
our
Earth,
audio
not
listeners,
Linux
I
Cast.
apologize. You have no idea what just happened. I'm sorry. But hey, it's the hate mail. And just as a quick reminder, if you'd like to get in touch with us, go on over to linuxgamecast.com, push the contact button on the nav bar, fill out the form, prove you're smarter than Ven's thing. Let's see what he writes down this week. There it is. And we'll be happy to feature whatever message you're trying to pass on to our lovely people in Chat Realm. Unless, of course, it is a game or a crowdfunding promotion that you're trying to promote. Yeah, that sentence got away from me a little bit. If you're trying to promote some sort of campaign, make sure to include an alpha, beta, demo, prototype, some Steam keys, some Tsura keys, some GOG keys, anything, so we can play your game. Because if you don't, well, we might just have to make fun of you.
Like Yakko Warner over here.
Yeah.
It says, "Hi, Linux Gamecast, the most." There's no link to the game, so we're not going to mention any of it.
No, they actually did. I want to call them out for this. So, the gentleman from Crimson Land, this old game that has been remade and it's top-down shooter and all that, they give us all the links, the Steam link, the GOG link, and it's very positive average. Best regard to... It'd really be cool to shout out for Greenlight campaigns. You know what, Brad? Maybe if I was running like a blog spam site, there's like, this game's on, and a developer contacted me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to plug your shit. You got to send us some keys, Brad, so we can play it. Oh,
and so I don't have to bust my tongue making farty noises. Yeah.
I mean, Sandy is actually in tears right now because he doesn't have keys. Look at him.
Look at that face.
Well,
Look at that sad Canadian face.
Well, actually, by that logic, don't
one?
send us keys because we do want to see Sandy cry a bunch.
Yeah. On that note, Kobe.
Help!
He says, I discovered LGC by watching the how-to videos, and you should bring them back as Patreon. Someone goes to Maddie's School of English.
Well, that could be a thing. I mean, I used to do a lot of how-to videos, and now anyone can really do the how-to videos. The only ones I make, there's 2 that I'm definitely going to be making, but like one's way behind schedule, and it's going to be a simple one. And the ones I normally make are the ones that's like, all right, this frustrated me. And if it frustrates me, fuck all luck for most other people. Unless you're an Arch user, then, yeah, you just, you know it. Yeah, it's all good, man.
It's just on the wiki, man.
Yeah, but
just pack it.
Yep. Pedro wrote back, he's like, sounds like feasible. Yeah, Pedro, why don't you make some?
That's the thing. I never really made how-to videos. I write a lot of tutorials whenever I try to do something that really frustrates me. I usually go on the forums, type down a tutorial, and say, here you go. If you want to try it, just... I guess I have to get a video how-to going, see how I fare.
We can help.
Yeah, it sounds feasible.
Whoa. What? I write technical documentation, so I don't think you want to listen to my how-tos, because it's literally just a laundry list of tasks you need to accomplish.
Well, ultimately, I could make a little window in the right-hand corner and do wild and wacky things as I'm trying to explain how to fucking do something. Maybe
and
some
scream profanity at the microphone.
bright-colored glasses. And on that bombshell, cue the music. You can always find us 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time at LinuxGameCast.com. Hit that live button. Put us in your face organ. I'm Vince Stone, cleverly disguised at Vince Stone on the Twitternets, plus Vince Stone on the G+.
And I am the Unicorn Wizard, riding for justice on a comet of stars, at the Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Svung on the Google+.
Danny Sexbang would like a word with you. I, on the other hand, am Plagiaroso.
Shut up, Princess Handjob.
I've lost... I seem to have misplaced my robe in the 5 minutes that have transpired in between, but hey, you can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
And I am Sandy Martin. You can find me on the Twitterverse at Ultimagus, or you can give me the old pluses at plus Sandy Martin on the G pluses.
And rootgamer.net.
No. Yeah, sure, Root Gamer. Yeah, rootgamer.com. Check me out there.
So at the end of the day, beautiful party people, take that shot. We're just going to close out and say genuinely, thanks for supporting us on Patreon. It's brilliant. I mean, I'm moderately appreciative. Aren't you, German?
my nipples are exploding with delight.
Well, I wouldn't say mine are exploding, but they're getting there. Oh,
yeah,
God.
mine are wow.
Yeah.
Mine are awesome.
You got some crab eye going there.
Yeah.
He does that.
It's not a Sandy episode unless he goes topless.
Yep.